So Hamilton has been out on Disney Plus for almost a week now. I think it's been about 6 days, and we're here to talk fully in spoilers about it. And if you haven't seen Hamilton already, definitely go check it out on Disney Plus. It is easily the best thing I've seen all year, and probably the best I've seen in the past few years. And if
Oh
you
yeah,
don't,
I love it.
yeah, and if you don't know, this is Chris from Film Stock, one of my favorite film-related channels. And you guys hit what, 600, I think recently? 500, 600?
Yeah, I think we're like very close to 600 right now. But yeah, I want to say thank you for having me on because I've also watched your stuff ever since I started the channel. So it's cool to meet new people and do new collabs. So
Yeah, thanks. And it's always fun to talk with other people about
yeah,
this. But Hamilton, so one of the things I really wanted to talk about is something they didn't have on the album, and that is Lauren's death, and then it's called the Lauren's Interlude. I think you know what I'm talking about, where
yeah, I do.
they didn't include that on the album. I really don't know why, but what did you think about that?
I thought it was a super powerful scene. I loved how Eliza gets the letter, right? And then she walks up to Hamilton, and then you see John Lawrence, and like he's got a spotlight on him. And then you see, I think in the background, it's Mulligan and Lafayette are also reading a letter. It's like a small little detail I think I caught.
Oh,
They're like
I
up
didn't
on the
even notice
balcony.
that.
On the rewatch, my girlfriend pointed out. I believe that's true. I could be wrong, but overall, I loved the scene, and I was kind of taken aback the first time I saw it because I didn't expect it to be there because I listened to the soundtrack, but I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, so I knew it was gonna be there, except I didn't know how it was going to be shot, and I love the shot how he's just in this blue light, like it's
Yeah.
just facing down, and they really like make him stand out here, and just the
Mhm.
overall emotion where Hamilton, he's just like, "Oh, a letter. Can you read it for me?" And he's all excited, and then he hears that, and he's just really sad. And also, what you said about the stuff in the background. When I rewatched it last night, I noticed that it's in my shot, I think. There are people dancing up on top of
Yeah.
the not balcony or whatever, like all the stairs up there, and I think Burr's up there, I think Angelica's up there. I didn't even notice that the first time. And one of my favorite things to do while rewatching it was I was looking for the not cast member, but like
Yeah.
ensemble members. So like Samuel Seabury, who's in Farmer
Yeah. Yeah.
Refuted right before the King, which is a fantastic scene in this one. It's
Yes.
so funny. I kept looking for him as like a dancer, and he's in a lot. Like he's very noticeable. And yeah, and same with the guy who plays James Reynolds. I think that's his name. He also plays the Schuyler sisters' dad and the doctor when Philip dies.
Yeah, I like how it's kind of like Easter eggs almost in a way, like not
Yeah.
really to that extent, but I do love how like there's those tiny little details that they have for like people who are watching really closely. I think there's a lot of attention to detail put into it.
Oh yeah, and just the repetition and the foreshadowing in the lyrics, where you have in Dear Theodosia, he's singing, Hamilton and Burr are singing about their kids, and then Hamilton is singing about Philip, and he's saying "Blow us all away," and then in the song "Blow us all the way" at the end, well, he gets blown away,
Yeah.
literally. And it's very smart the way he plays little things like that in it, and the way they repeat some of the sounds, like the sound that plays before like all the duels, that weird
Mhm.
like that sound, it always means something bad's about to happen. And it's
Yeah.
really smart.
Like I love what I love about Hamilton is how each like group of characters kind of have their theme that's like a recurring theme.
Yep.
Like we all know Hamilton's is like dun da 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 dun 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 dun. Dun. Yeah, I love that, but uh I think my girlfriend pointed out when we did our review. I love how that Hamilton theme plays at the beginning of Guns and Ships and then it's
Yeah, with
Lafayette's song.
Lafayette.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite songs. It's been growing on me since watching it. I'm
Yeah.
trying to like memorize Lafayette's rap. He goes so
Yeah.
fast. It's always so hard for me to memorize every
Like
word.
I know what he's saying, but when I
Yeah.
try to say it, he's saying it so fast, but I don't get it. But I
Yes.
really like
Yeah.
that because they have that play, and then Lafayette comes, but then later on in Yorktown, they're like immigrants, we get the job done, and then they clap.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like maybe it's not Alexander's theme, it's
Hmm.
like the immigrants'
Yeah.
theme,
Yeah.
which was really smart there too.
Very brilliant. Lin-Manuel is like a mastermind. I've always thought about how he was able to write because he wrote the music and the lyrics.
Yeah.
So like it's just so crazy to me how he pulled all that off.
Yeah, and I've seen the documentary Hamilton's America or whatever it's called. It's on YouTube, and someone posted it's in terrible quality. It's really cool how you see how he was writing it years ago, and then he performed the opening number at the White House back in 2009, I think it was,
Mm.
and you see how some of it's changed and how he was very nervous, and he was saying he was always looking around for the exits, and then he's performing it, and then throughout the entire thing, as he's going faster and faster, everyone is kind of like, "Oh, this is kind of cool."
Yeah. There's another detail, like super hidden kind of in a way. You might know it, but my girlfriend was telling me about it. She has like Hamilton the Revolution, like the book,
I
and
think my friend has
she'd been
that.
reading it
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah. And so I don't know the character's name, but I think at the end of You'll Be Back, like Jonathan Groff's first song, you know how like there's a girl that gets killed or whatever?
Yeah.
So then she's like death or whatever throughout because or the bullet girl they call her something because then she's the person that like every time before someone gets shot she like holds the bullet or whatever and also apparently whoever she like touches after that dies apparently it's I forget the name of the song off the top of my head but when Philip is like we'll come back later and strip down to our socks or whatever I think that
Oh,
she
Death
touches him
Blows
in that or
Away.
whatever
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
she's
yeah
one of the two girls.
he ends up dying and like it just keeps recurring so that's like a super interesting
Whoa.
detail I'm gonna look into that more after this to see if it's like fact but it was very interesting if
Yeah,
true.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's yeah, now I see that. Yeah, she's in a lot of that, and wow, yeah, see, that it's just little details like
Yeah.
that make it better and better, and the fact that you caught that or your girlfriend caught it was
Yeah.
really cool. But yeah, that's one of the best things about Hamilton is just the little attention to detail that a lot of plays do this where they use reoccurring songs, and sometimes like in Les Mis they like change the tone like octave or something to where you hear it later. Like I don't, do you know have you ever watched Les Mis or anything?
I've commented on one of your videos you did like I think you did a Les Mis video once right
Yeah, I've
and
done.
I said I hadn't seen it it's so I haven't seen any iteration of it I no I have I've seen
Oh yeah,
the movie that with I think Liam Neeson and
yeah,
Jeffrey Rush I've
I
seen
didn't
that
even see that
movie
one.
but
Yeah.
I haven't seen the one with Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway. That's on my 100 movies list, so I will watch that
Oh yeah. Yeah.
eventually. But I
So that
haven't seen like the play either. So
Yeah, so there's Valjean's soliloquy, which you hear as he's kind of saying he's going to change his life, but then later on, Javert kind of does it in a different way. I won't spoil it. And there's little things like that that they do inside of Hamilton too, and that's what's so special about theater is their way of slightly putting in details that only some people will catch.
right, yeah, it's and Lin-Manuel has like that. He's so good at it. Like I don't even know how to put it
Yeah.
into words. He's just so creative.
Yeah, and it's like I was listening to some of the rhyming. I was just thinking, how do you come up with this?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
what
insane.
went through his head to rhyme some of these words together?
I was just saying it's super cool how I did that, and like some of the words are very hard to memorize because they're like I have no
Yeah,
idea, especially in Guns and Ships in Lafayette's rap. He's like I don't know the exact words, but it's like ingenuitive in French or ingenuitive fluent in
yeah,
French. What's he gonna do on the bench? I mean, so, it's like something like that.
yeah. It's something, yeah, so weird. And then he uses like some words that sound the same, like engaging and raging, stuff like that. They just sound very similar, but it still is effective. It's weird.
Mhm.
So did you might have seen this. I saw it on Twitter. My friend also read that book, and actually my most viewed video on this channel is my complete Hamilton ranking of all the songs from back in like December. It has like
Oh yeah, I
oh,
remember that video. Yeah.
yeah, it has like over 1,000 views, and I never expected that. But there's something at the very end when Eliza's there, like she's singing, and then Hamilton or Lin-Manuel, he like walks back around and then looks at her. They both look at each other, and then he like takes her hand, and then she looks over and she gasps. A lot of people are saying, which I kind of understand, that that's his way of he's changing into himself, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and showing Eliza the crowd, and that she was talking about all getting all the stories shared, and then that was her reaction to seeing all that. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I saw that on social media. It's like a big thing that's trending, and I think that it's brilliant. I think that is what it might mean. Like originally, I was like, oh, I think that it's Eliza like in heaven or like the afterlife or whatever, and she sees like Hamilton and everyone for the first time, so that's why she gasped. But then when I heard this, and like I think I rewatched the scene, I think that it makes a lot more sense and even more impactful in that way. just because she did get to tell Hamilton's story. So
Yeah, and that
it's
was the
crazy.
whole purpose of a lot of the songs, that she just really wanted their story to be told.
Right.
And yeah, and something I like read a few reviews. I watched one. A lot of people are saying, which I don't agree with. I think he's actually the best aspect. Are people are saying that Lin-Manuel Miranda's performance is weaker than everyone else's.
Hmm.
I don't. In my opinion, he gives the best in the show.
I think that he's so great, and like when he's talking to Samuel Seabury, he makes me laugh in that one song, where he's like rapping over him,
Yeah,
his facial expressions, and then especially when he's call me son one more time, and like
yeah.
his
He
face
like
in that,
gasps.
that's
Yeah.
phenomenal acting. So I don't know what people are saying. I think that
No.
as far as his singing voice goes, I still love his voice, but I think that he's like probably like the weakest of the like core cast, but he's still a really good singer.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but like I read that, I was like, how? Because you just see how fast he does this, and that they don't get breaks in this. This isn't like recording an
Yeah.
album where you could do even just parts of every song. He's doing the entire show. Now, this was recorded over 3 days, but still, you have to perform this live 8 times a week, I think it was, and it was
Mhm.
like he never ran out of breath. Same with
Yeah.
W. Diggs as Lafayette or Jefferson. They never ran out of breath, and I just don't understand how.
Yeah. My friend was telling me that he read online or something that Lin-Manuel said like if they nail my shot, then like the rest of the show is going to be great.
Yeah,
Like because
I heard
that's
that
like the
too.
one the hardest thing for them to get through, like a ton of rapping. It's a very long song. And apparently they like immediately run back and like drink water super quick after it, or like after that the next song after that, I think. But
Yeah, because then it goes to Skylar Sisters. Yeah,
yep.
I was just like, yeah, every time I watch it, and I've seen like bootlegs, and I just like, it's still, they all sound different. And I mentioned this, did I mention this in my review? I might not have, but something I love about his performance is in his transformation in his voice from Aaron Burr, Sir, to after that big rap in My Shot. When he's talking to Burr first, he's very nervous and he's kind of yelling a bit,
Yeah.
and then Burr says, "Talk less, smile more," whatever. But and then as he's going through My Shot, he's kind of gaining more confidence, and then
Yeah.
that leads into Farmer Refuted, where he's making fun of Samuel Seabury and talking
Right.
over him, and you see him smiling, and Lafayette and Hercules Mulligan are like pushing him
Yeah.
towards him, and yeah, that was really smart.
Yeah, I think that might be like one of the funnier moments in the entire musical. That
Yeah,
Farmer Refuted. Yeah.
I really like that because as a song, like on the album, I was like, yeah, this is good. The guy who sings is very good. They're all very good. But some of these songs, they needed that comedy within them to elevate them more. And
Hmm.
that's what really helped. And I also love with the cabinet battles is that I've always loved both of them, especially the first one.
Oh yeah.
They really get the audience involved there, where they're essentially having rap battles, but they're speaking to the audience. Like Christopher Jackson as Washington's like saying, "Are you ready for a meeting? Cabinet meeting, I think,"
Yeah.
and the whole audience is cheering.
I love it how they like approach the audience. They're like getting everyone pumped up. It is shot just like those rap battles that used to be on
Yeah,
YouTube. It's really it's just so creative.
yeah, and yeah, I really liked what David Diggs. Like you see him, he's very sarcastic here, and in like What I Miss, he like blows a kiss to one of the people in the crowd, and one moment that made me laugh, I noticed, I said this in my review, I didn't know what song it was at. It was at the start of Washington on Your Side, where
Mhm.
Burr comes out. He's on, like, Thomas Jefferson's on the stage by himself, and Burr walks out and starts singing, and he turns around. Like, where did he come from? And it was just little jokes like that, or in We Know, where they read the note, and
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah,
"What?" And then he's like,
yeah.
"All your answers to my satisfaction." And then he's like, "My God."
He is very funny. I love David Diggs, his little quips and stuff. And he plays two of my favorite characters in the entire musical. So I think I like Lafayette a little more. I think like his raps and stuff. But I think What Did I Miss might be one of my favorite songs overall. I
Yeah,
love it. How it's written like intentionally differently to sound kind of like
yeah,
the
the
jazz
era
vibe
it
of it.
was
Yeah.
in. Apparently, yeah, I saw
Right.
some video about it, how you see how the music kind of changes throughout it,
Yeah.
and then at the start, at whatever year it was, I can't remember. I know it's like the first word in the song, but
I think
they fit
is it
that era.
1789 maybe 1789.
89,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really smart. Again, that's more with Lin-Manuel Miranda, how he places certain eras and he uses that. And also, Lin-Manuel Miranda has talked about how used inspirations of other musicals. Going back to Les Mis, the song "Burn" is very heavily inspired by "On My Own," which when you watch Les Mis, you'll be able to tell there. And I
Yeah.
noticed that a lot of the coats, I'll put a picture on the screen, a lot of the coats that they use in Yorktown, like those blue and red, where it's like blue and then there's the red things, that is the exact same coat that Jean Valjean wears later on when he sings like "Bring Him Home" in Les Mis, which was I caught that on my rewatch. I was like, that is very smart.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to watch Les Mis, the 2012 movie. Um, and it might, is it the same costume designer? It could be. It could be. Who knows?
I think so. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny with that movie is very interesting for like as an adaptation. I'm gonna do a video on it someday, but it's
Hmm.
pretty interesting. Some really good, some not so good. But
Yeah.
I really liked about Hamilton how it was, unlike Les Mis, it was a film stage production. It wasn't an adaptation to a movie because normally they can really mess those up. And there are some that I think would work. Like I think that Dear Evan Hansen will work very well as a movie because it's set in high school. But something like Hamilton, where you have a rotating stage and just set in that era with these costumes, it wouldn't work as a movie, really, or at least it won't for 30 years or whatever it'll take it.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. And like the only other Broadway production I've seen recorded in a similar style of Hamilton that I've watched is Newsies. I don't know if you're into Newsies,
It's
but they've done like so they've had the movie adaptation, like the Disney one with Christian Bale, and then they also did the original Broadway cast. They did like a recording of it, and I don't know. That's one that can translate to me, but Hamilton definitely would be like imagine the budget they would have to have because of all the different time periods and all the
oh,
different costumes and the makeup. It would just be crazy. It'd be very hard to pull off and
yeah, that,
it's all singing like so I guess they would just have to write a script, and then throw in some songs. I don't know if they could
yeah.
put all the songs in it and then have like scenes without. It would just be crazy to do.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like Les Mis is a sung through musical, and a lot of the times the actors they just start talking in the middle of the songs, and you're like, what are you doing? But Newsies, both of them with Christian Bale and Broadway one, they're both on my watch list on Disney Plus. I
Oh
haven't
yeah.
watched them yet, and I've seen another one, obviously Phantom of the Opera, 25th anniversary at the Royal Albert Hall. It's a lot like this, except it's not the actual production because they had
Oh, okay.
limited like staging and stuff, and there's a live
Yeah.
audience, and it's like two performances. But what I liked about this one is that they spent those 3 days. So they spent 2 days on the audience, like they set cameras in the audience, and they use like
Mhm.
dollies, cranes, and then the other day they used the close-ups, and the close-ups really hit home, especially for Jonathan Groff. They really hit home.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I think that it's oh, I'm blanking on the name. There's so many songs. I like know them when I start singing them, but it's when Aaron Burr and Angelica they're like right up on each other, kind of.
Skylar
The close-ups of
Sisters.
that. Yep, that's
Yeah.
what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, I love the use of the camera there. So
Yeah, where it switches and where she says a line and then she makes that face at him.
yeah,
He's like,
yeah,
"Ah, so you disgust me," and then it turns to him. That
yeah,
was really smart. And the close-ups, I think, besides the Jonathan Groff songs, the King George songs, they really worked well in like I don't know if they're considered solos, but like Wait for It and Hurricane, like the two big
yeah,
for like a single character, it really works well where you have the big moment in Wait for It where it cuts to him and the camera spins around. And then in Hurricane, a lot of it is actually done in close ups, which helps show the emotion.
oh yeah. It's funny that Hurricane is like one of the songs I listen to the least. It's still such a great song. They all are, but it's not one of my personal favorites, surprisingly.
Yeah,
Um,
when I did that ranking with my friend, she had it in her like bottom five, and I was just like, "What?" Because that was when after I watched the bootleg, that was a song that I really paid attention to first. Now my favorite song now is "My Shot," and but I think that's in my top 10 or 15 now, like Hurricane. But that was the song that really I was like, "Oh, that's really good," and just the close-ups they really help because it just you wouldn't have gotten the same feel if everything was shot wide, and they don't overuse the close-ups though
right.
because there's still a ton of big dance numbers. Like Yorktown, I think is mainly shot in the wide shots or
Yeah.
wide shots or medium shots or whatever. They're very far away except for when they're all singing like we won, all that.
It's all great.
Oh, sorry. One
You're
second.
good.
One of the big moments that it really got me, especially on rewatch, was It's Quiet Uptown, where Lin
Mm.
just sobbed throughout the song. Like he
After
actually,
Philip dies, right?
yeah, after he
Yeah.
just straight up, well, after he died, he just straight up cried, but he still sang and he still sounded really good. I was like, that is how you do it, because you can still
Yeah.
understand what he's saying, and yeah,
I just don't know how anyone could say he gave a bad performance. Like that right
yeah,
there is another just very
yeah.
solid aspect of the production. And I just don't understand how anyone could hate on him. I don't know if people are, but that's just crazy to me. He's so, so good.
Yeah, which is I like that because I doubt you've heard of it. I hadn't heard about it for a while, but there's a musical called Sunday in the Park with George. Jake Gyllenhaal's in it now. He's going to be in it. Well, it was
Okay.
rescheduled, but it's filmed actually a lot like Hamilton back in the 80s with Mandy Patinkin, who's in The Princess Bride, and Bernadette Peters. She sings. It's one of the best songs in the show. We do not belong together, and you see her straight up cry throughout the entire thing, but she cried so hard that she had to come back months later and redub the song because you couldn't
Really?
understand her at all, which I find hilarious. And then you compare it to something like this.
Yeah. That's crazy. Was this one of the last live performances like with the original
Yeah,
cast? It was, yeah.
that's why.
Was it Christopher Jackson who plays Washington? Was it his last one? I think it was. That's why like he was or very
Pretty
close to
sure.
it because he was very emotional in one last time.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that
Yeah.
song. I think the most vocally talented. If for a guy, it's Christopher Jackson. For a
Yep.
girl, it's Renee Elise Goldsberry, who plays
Hmm.
Angelica. But
Yeah.
one last time, that was just so powerful, and just the way that, like, after the song they hold it for a bit and you get that lower shot where you see how the lights come down and then they just
Yes.
blank and they just let the audience clap because you've just witnessed this phenomenal thing.
Yeah, the lighting cues on him in that scene are just so good. And then I think it is the end of my shot where Hamilton hits his iconic pose, right? And they're all
Yeah,
standing there. That's one of my favorite moments in the entire thing. I
yeah.
love it.
I love the, I think for choreography, I think Yorktown's probably the best, but the most entertaining, probably the 10 Dual Commandments. I think that's probably the best shot of them all because just the way they have it turning. Sometimes the camera's on it too. And then when, I was going to say Philip, not Philip, John Lawrence actually shoots him, the first thing you see is Hamilton's reaction. You see the light, it's like this white light, it flashes on him and then it cuts to him. And I thought that was brilliant. And another attention to detail, I don't know if you knew this, I don't know if it was confirmed now, there was a suspected relationship between, in real life, Hamilton and John Lawrence.
Oh,
So
really?
there's a lot of lines in my shot where he's like, I think your pants look hot, Lawrence. I like you a lot. And then throughout the entire thing, those two, they like hug the most. They have the most physical
Oh,
contact,
yeah.
which as I watched it, I was like, that is very smart.
Yeah, I did not even know about that. So that when I rewatch it, I'll definitely have that in my mind and I'll be thinking
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you won't be able to, like, after you see that you'll catch on to, like, obviously, because I think it was some big thing. Like, I knew about that for a while, and even my friend who loves Hamilton, she mentioned it too, and I was like, yeah, so it wasn't just me who caught that, but
Yeah, yeah.
very, very smart of Lin.
Yeah, very subtle of him. He's
Yeah.
so good at all that.
Yeah, he's like, he has the big moments, like some of the big songs, but other moments he puts in these subtle, small, small details that on
Yeah.
rewatch, I wouldn't say the thing improves. It doesn't improve on rewatch, but it doesn't go down. But there are little hints that you catch. And when I rewatched, there were a few times where, like in Best of what was it? Best of Wives, Best of Women? No, it was Take a Break, where he's sitting at his desk
Oh,
and
yeah.
Wise is like
Hmm.
dinner. He like goes to stand up and he like sets down his quill and then it cuts and he like sets it down again. I was like, that's really fine. If you know that they're editing different performances together, that's a fine edit for me. It didn't bother me, of course, that first time either.
Yeah, and I actually am like I had no idea. So like they filmed that took parts of different like performances, or was it all just one? Because I actually didn't know
No,
that. which
it
is
was
crazy.
3 different
Oh,
days.
okay.
So
Oh, see,
I'm
I didn't
guessing,
even know that.
yeah, I'm guessing that they spent like the close-up days. I don't think they did the whole show and then shot. I feel like they did individual songs because I saw a little behind the scenes thing
Oh,
about it. It
okay.
was like a minute or two long, but yeah. See, it's also really good too.
Because I didn't even know. I couldn't tell. So I have to applaud like the production crew, the director, all that. Like that's just
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, and it's very smart. That must be one of the most challenging things you can do is editing this
Editing
together,
that, yeah.
especially with and because they have so many different angles. Like there's insane close-ups like that one of Burr and wait for it where his face is like it's like this and this at the
Yes.
side.
Yeah.
And through the entire thing there must just been a million edits and I could never imagine editing this. It would be a lot of fun, but it would be a very, very
You'd have like
difficult.
three monitors, and it would just be like this. You'd be in this huge bay,
Yeah.
just like going at it for
Yeah, and
hours.
like there, and then yeah, like looking over each frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. And one thing I don't normally like watch the credits, but I just did last night, is that the credits for this, it's kind of like Endgame where they have the picture of the person. This happens like after the Roots, they're like the Hamilton mixtape or whatever that plays, and then it has like a picture of them and then their characters. I like it's not really a big thing, but I thought that was pretty cool how they spent the time to do that, and they even listed some of those ensemble members. They didn't just put them in like a credits. It
Yeah.
just went down and down and down.
Oh yeah, I'm glad they got the credit they deserve because like everyone, even the background like dancers and people who don't have prominent roles, spent hours of their life like practicing the choreography and everything,
Yep.
and they still are a critical part of the show, even though they're not having these huge numbers that they're a part of. Like singing wise, they're the little details in the background make it all come together so nicely. So
Yeah.
everyone gets the credit they deserve in the end.
Yeah, and with all the props and stuff, like in even in the opening where they have them place the chair in, and then where he's saying like cousin committed suicide, you see them move this chair like smoothly throughout the entire thing. And yeah, I thought it was really smart. And as you mentioned with the lighting cues, one of my favorites, it was maybe the funniest moment inside of it. It's after the King's last song. It goes into the Adams administration,
Yeah.
and he sits at the side and
Uh-huh.
he's like
I
dancing
love that.
along
Yeah.
with it. And
He
then
was cracking me up the whole time.
yeah, that oh God, that was so funny. And I love how you see like Leslie Odom Jr. Burr, he walks over, he looks at him, and you just see him try not to laugh
Mhm.
really hard. And what did you think of them cutting because it was PG-13, so they had to cut out two of the F-bombs, we'll say.
Yeah, like so the first Hamilton song I ever heard was Washington on Your Side. It was in my junior year of high school, which was 2016. Like my history teacher was playing it, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" And then I found out my girlfriend liked it, and we started listening to it more. She'd always had been listening to it, but like Southern, blank,
And
Democratic Republicans, like that's like one of my favorite lines. So it was
yeah,
kind of upsetting I didn't get to hear it in full force, but like I totally understand why they had to do it because it was Disney Plus and like it's only two F bombs or I believe, right?
three.
So three, yeah.
There's the
It's
one in
like it is
Yorktown
what it
too.
is. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which is funny.
Hercules Mulligan, is that the
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
Yeah.
where he comes in, which I found funny because I saw it on Twitter because everyone was like, "Are they gonna cut Say No to this?" Because for a reason, when I watched it, because my mom was kind of watching it too, she
Uh-huh.
was like, "This isn't very Disney of them," and I'm like, "I know," but
Yeah.
yeah, when I like did that trailer reaction, I was like, "That's the one I didn't want them to cut," was the one in Washington on Your Side because I thought it had like the most power, whatever. Which was funny because in Say No to This, he just goes fa, but he doesn't finish the
Exactly,
word.
yeah.
You see, that was my wife who decided to. Uh-oh. You made.
So I didn't know if they would have cut it, but at the same time, if they cut it, it just wouldn't have made sense, and it wouldn't have made that joke in We Know later on with Lafayette, where he goes, "What?" It wouldn't have
Mhm.
made that joke land. And Jeremy Johns, I don't know if you watch him, you probably do.
I
Um,
do. I
he
haven't gotten a chance to watch his video yet, though. I need to
he
watch that.
mentioned in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, there's that the nurse that comes to the door and she says like something about pluck. I'm the nurse who likes to, and then they shut the door, which
Yeah,
he referenced it to that. I was like, that was
that is
very
a pretty
smart.
nice little
Yeah,
tie-in there.
yeah. And I saw a video on Twitter of that Washington on Your Side. It was a guy watching it, and when that line came, he just screams it. It was really
That's too
funny.
funny. Yeah, that's too funny. I think I might have meant like said it too. Like it just adds so much to that scene.
Yeah, when you rewatch it, or at least like because the first time I watched it, my mom was there. But like when I watched it for the second time, a lot of time I was testing. I was like, how much do I remember? Because in the first semester of school, from like September to like February, or January, February, I listened every single day in class to Hamilton just because I wanted to know the words, and I of course loved it. So
Yeah.
when I was watching this, and then like I took a break from it, and like I still knew the words, and then when
Mhm.
watching this, I was like, how much of this do I remember? And then going through it, I was like, I remember this and this and this, and then I
Yeah.
tested myself. It was pretty fun doing that.
Yeah. And like another small detail that I didn't remember to mention in the first song is how when it's like me, I fought for him, me, I died for him, me, I trusted him, me, I loved him. When they say that,
All
it's
three.
it's all three because Peggy is also Mariah Reynolds. So like
Yeah.
it's that stuff like that I just love. So
Yeah, I actually I noticed that too because the first time I was like, wait, because obviously I knew, but like the first time I watched it, I was like, why is she up with them? Is that just them placing? But then I was like, oh, that kind of that makes
mhm.
sense. And another thing I didn't notice until I rewatched it at the end, they have like all the people come out in like that same like beige suit,
Right,
but
yeah.
just like do their bow. But Jonathan Groff is also wearing one of those, so maybe he was in that last song, like as a part of the cast on the stage. I didn't see that, but he
Yeah, I
could
didn't
have been.
notice. I'm gonna
I
look
just,
for him though on the next
yeah,
rewatch.
yeah. I was like, after I saw him in there, I was like, damn it, I should have paid attention to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very smart. That's what. Yeah, I just love the attention to detail in Hamilton. That's
Mm.
one of the best aspects, and it's entertaining through the entire thing because it's sang through. But a lot of musicals, there's normally like here are the amazing songs, and then you have kind of these filler songs. And sure, Hamilton has like Skylar Defeated, which happens before Cabinet Battle 2, which is technically a filler song, but it's like a minute and it leads into another song. So it's like there's no point in skipping it on the album. There's not really a lot of songs or any that I skip.
Yeah, a lot of those smaller songs are kind of actually, I think, to just give the cast like a tiny, tiny break where they can like maybe like run off the stage for a second, drink some water, but they're still important to the overall thing. Like I love listening to it in my car, uh, from start to finish. Like I'll just restart it. It's not only is it rewatchable, the Disney Plus version, but it's like if there's a word for re-listen, like I can
Yeah.
listen to it over and
Yep.
over.
I mean, yeah, I did it every day for
Yeah.
months and months and
I've
months.
listened to it like probably every day or every few days for like years. I just
Wow.
it's always been in my music rotation.
Yeah, the first time I watched it was 11 months ago. It was last August is when I
Okay.
found or someone sent me that bootleg. So, but after that, I was kind of like, this is smart. And then I really kind of got obsessed with it. And now,
Yeah.
now we're here. But
Hmm.
yeah, which something I love about the show is that since it's a musical, when you tell people, hey, go watch this new musical, they're like, oh, a musical? Why would I
Yeah.
do that? But I had my best friend, he doesn't like he watches musicals like he likes Grease. He watches all those, but
Yeah.
we were at a cottage last week and I mentioned something like I was like you should watch Hamilton on Disney Plus. He's like, "Oh yeah, is that musical?" Yeah, I was gonna watch it anyway. I was like, "Oh shit," which I was like, "That's really." And he watched it. He's like, "Yeah, that was awesome. It was so cool." And it's just because they find a way to appeal to a modern audience who doesn't want to listen to large dramatic songs only. Now you get your fair share of like a few of those classic musical songs like
Yeah.
Burn and stuff like that, but they have those really fast like Guns and Ships songs to
Yeah.
really tie it all together and appeal to a very wide audience.
Yeah, like my mom watched it, who's not a huge musical person. She loved it. My brother even watched it, who rarely watches musicals, and he was like, "That was awesome. Like I want to watch it again." So it's just I think Lin-Manuel blended like um a subject that's not usually interesting to most people, history, especially like the Revolutionary Period. I personally still enjoy it, but a lot of people get bored by it. And he blended it with this hip hop rap genre of music, and it appeals to essentially everyone. I think everyone can find enjoyment with this in some degree.
Oh
I
yeah,
really do.
like I'm one of those people who you know how there's like the theater kids at school who is like, oh my god, did you
Yeah,
listen to this? It's like and they're a lot of the time very annoying. But whenever I was listening to it at school and someone would be like, "What do you listen to?" I just say nothing because anytime I listen, I'm just like nothing because I don't want to talk about it. But the one
Yeah.
time my friend, he was like, "What do you listen to?" And I told him, I was like, "You probably don't know what it is, Hamilton." And he goes, "Oh yeah, my sister listens to that sometimes." And I was like, "Oh, like that proves how wide of an audience that
Yeah.
Hamilton
Hamilton
has."
is awesome. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it's true. That's just the best way to describe it. It's awesome.
Awesome tacular in the words of Jeremy Johns.
Yeah, I really. Do you watch Chris Stuckman at all? He's
I do, yeah. He was like the first one that I really started to love
yeah,
when I in the movie YouTube.
yeah. He. I'd say he's probably my favorite now. Like I have his book. I really want to see him cover Hamilton soon because
Yeah.
he said he doesn't like musicals are his least favorite, but he reviewed Les Mis back then, and but he's doing. I know he's doing like Indiana Jones stuff, but like I really wanted to see him watch that soon and to know someone who isn't exactly a big fan of it like Sean Chandler talks about. He was the first one that I kind of noticed, and then it like opened up that world into all the other ones. But he did some stuff today, he talked about it on his podcast, where he said even I'm not a musical fan, it took me like 2 days to watch it, two sittings, but I really don't have any problems with it. It's just not my thing, but I can respect everything inside of it. And I'm like, I haven't heard anyone say this thing is bad at all.
Yeah, I don't know how you could have any real gripes with the story and just the like mastermind behind it, you know, because there was so much work put into it from a technical standpoint as well as lyrics and the story, and it just all it comes together so perfectly that there's no critique. Like I gave it 5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
There's no critiques with it in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I gave it an A plus, and if like I don't give out A plus plus, like A plus means like 96 and above, but like if
Yeah.
I would, this would get a full 100%. I don't
Hmm.
have a single
Yeah.
problem with it, even on rewatch. Sometimes you rewatch a movie, and you're like, oh, I didn't like the way that tied into that, but this I'm
Yeah.
like still
No.
haven't caught a
And
single problem.
I will say that like I do prefer the first act. I think that I listen to those songs more. Like if I had to
Yeah,
pick one act to listen to, I'd pick the first, but the second is still great and they blend together very well. So I mean, I love the whole entire thing. I really
yeah.
do.
Yeah, that's actually how I feel about a lot of musicals. Is that the better songs are in that first act.
Hmm.
And normally, actually, like the second act of musicals are like shorter. Like for Phantom of the Opera, like my favorite one, I think the first act's like an hour and 15, and the second act is like 45, 50 minutes. Like it's so much shorter. And for this, I think the second act's even longer, but it doesn't feel like
Yeah.
it's dragging on at all. Like sometimes when you have something that's actually like 2 hours, over 2.5 hours, like this is 2 hours and 40 minutes normally there's a bit that drags on. Whoa. But here, there's really nothing at all. Not a single song, not a
No.
single moment. Even those little moments in between the songs where they have to transition, where like from like my shot to Story of Tonight, you hear like whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
like how
loved how
there's
they
that.
did that in the production because that's
Yeah,
not really in the soundtrack. It just goes straight to it,
yeah, just
obviously.
go straight
So
to it. And yeah, something like I noticed you mentioned in your review about how there are some songs where you have to play them one after another, like Aaron
yes,
Burr to My Shot, because it
yeah, you
just
do.
doesn't work. You get to at the end of Aaron Burr, it's if you stand for nothing, Burr, what do you fall for? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? You can't just go, oh, who's this kid? What's he gonna do? Da 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 da. Like you
Yeah,
can't
it just
just
doesn't feel right at all.
no. It's just that's like I have a musical playlist on my phone, but really I don't normally listen to like that if it's a musical where I have more than like 5 songs from it because it just
Yeah.
doesn't work that way for me.
I have a musical playlist as well, but Hamilton has its own playlist. It's like the whole thing is just Hamilton, and then
Yeah,
I have on the other one is like Sound of Music, West Side Story, stuff like that. So
I need to see West Side Story like really soon.
yeah, and
That's a
you should definitely watch it before the Spielberg one
yeah,
if it
that's
comes
what
out
I'm
this year. I don't know
planning.
if it's going to, but
And with all the
yeah,
Ansel Elgort stuff too,
yeah.
who really knows what's gonna
Who
happen with
knows?
that?
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I really want to watch West Side Story because I've heard it's just and it won Best Picture, didn't it? Did it?
Yeah, it did. It did. And you seen The Sound of Music too, or not?
Yeah, I've seen
Do you
that.
like that
Uh,
one?
yeah, I love that one.
Yeah,
It's
I love it as well.
amazing. I
It
haven't seen
also won
that.
Best Picture. Yeah.
Normally, like as a kid, you don't want to watch these super long movies, but I've always really loved The Sound of Music. I haven't seen it in like three
Me
or four
too.
years, but it's always been great. And I think I'm rewatching Sweeney Todd with Johnny Depp soon with my dad because he doesn't always love musicals. Like his favorite musical is Rock of Ages. Rock of
The
Ages with
Tom
Tom
Cruise movie.
Cruise. Because that's just
That's
the
too
music
funny.
he
Yeah.
likes. So I'm interested to see because he loves Johnny Depp too. So I'm
Mhm.
interested to see what he'll think about that one because that's like Sweeney Todd is my fifth favorite ever.
I
So
haven't seen it, but I like Johnny Depp, at least as Jack Sparrow, a lot. And I think I've heard. Do you watch The Office?
yeah,
So like it's I forget what season. It's one of the
yes,
later
with
seasons where
Andy.
Andy puts on a show of it. That's the
Yeah,
only like music I've even heard from it.
yeah,
So
where he breaks into the office. It's like attention,
yeah.
Sweeney Todd. Yeah, that was. I
Is that
remember
like the
watching it.
opening song of
Yeah,
the
that's
oh, okay.
which is weird because in the movie, that's not in the movie though.
Oh really?
Yeah, it just
That's
goes to the
whack.
credits
That's wacky.
and then it just goes to No Place Like London, which I still think is pretty weird, but they do a really good job at adapting it from stage to screen,
Oh, okay.
of changing some of the things, which you won't know if you haven't seen the stage one, and I've seen like bootlegs and I listened to
Mhm.
different ones, but there's little things they do there. And yeah.
I think that anyone should watch it, even if you don't love musicals. I think you should give it a shot. Don't throw away your shot to watch Hamilton.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. No, like I don't want to say it's on Disney Plus for free, but if you have Disney Plus and you somehow haven't watched Hamilton already, you really, really have to. As I said, I'm counting this as a movie for this year because
I am too.
it had a planned theatrical release. It wasn't like Les Miserables the stage concert last year, which I saw it in theaters, but it only played one night. So it wasn't going to have an official theatrical run like
Right.
Hamilton. It's not eligible at the Oscars, which I get. Let's just look at it Sony's though. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
I highly recommend it. It's easy, 10 out of 10, A plus, 5 stars, whatever you want to say. And yeah,
It's my
if you
favorite of the year.
yeah, same. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Filmstock, one of my favorite channels on there. You post
Yep.
a lot of videos too, a lot of rankings,
Yeah.
like your Harry Potter ranking recently, which I want to do one of those very soon.
Yeah,
But
you should. I love it, dude. And I've like re-sparked my love of Harry Potter. So yeah, Harry
yeah,
Potter, everyone should watch, of course.
yeah, yeah, that was my
Yeah.
childhood favorite thing. I rewatched. I was like, this may be my favorite. I may like this even more than Star Wars, but
Yeah, it's
well,
getting up there for me too.
yeah, we'll see. So yeah, thank you all for watching. If you've seen Hamilton, tell us what you think in the comments down below, and we will see you guys next time. Over and out.